Again, in this instance, it doesn't even negate the hope of getting into the NFL. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and watch plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do plenty of pro and Madden content as well. Anything related to football, just click that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Again, please hit the subscribe button. Quest for 1K, we're almost there. All right. Doing my best to give you everything related to football, EA college football, pro football, Madden, anything like that related to football. Remember, hit that red subscribe button. It's free. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on all of those things that I just listed. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, I have a bit of a stretch here that I'm going to make. It's a bit of a stretch. I'm already coming out and saying that. But there's a really small story that I think feeds into a bigger story that I think where a lot of us are kind of worried about. So I want to talk about NIL really quickly here because there's a player for Oklahoma State who is leaving to enter the NFL draft. They're leaving in kind of a weird timing in situation like that. There's a lot of situations here that point to this, typically with what we thought about NIL, this wouldn't be able to be happening, but it is right now. First thing I want to do is just make sure we understand what NIL is and how much players can make from NIL, because it is a lot. So here are with ProFootballNetwork.com, and we see NIL, name, image, and likeness. So before, college football players weren't allowed to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. It went all straight to the schools. Now they're able to be monetized on that. And you see the fact how much it's worth. Bryce Young gets $3.2 million. CJ Stroud gets 2.5. Caleb Williams gets 2.4. Spencer Rattler gets $2 million. There's so much money thrown around here. There's a lot of money for college athletics. So you see the fact there's plenty of money being thrown around for these players right now. However, I think a lot of people were worried that NIL was going to be taking over, almost like creating college football as a minor, to the NFL, a minor league to the NFL, something like that. I don't think we're quite there yet, because if that were true, then there would be a lot more wheeling and dealing, and there'd be a lot more willingness to give money to players that can be assets to teams, in the same way that, pro football teams have, backups, pro football teams have, practice squads, things like that. College football teams have enough money in these NIL deals to give it out to, decent players to keep them on the team to give you a better chance of winning in the future. However, that might not be true, because there's one player who's, I don't want to say breaking rules, but definitely breaking a lot of, codes here with leaving for the NFL draft a little bit early. Let's get into that article real quick. Here we are with ESPN.com. Oklahoma State's Brendon Evers skip rest of season. Again, this was earlier today. You are seeing this. This is yesterday for everybody watching this right now. Oklahoma State starting defensive tackle Brendon Evers, who has been dealing with an unspecified injury, on Thursday said he will skip the rest of the season and begin preparing for the NFL draft. Thank you, Cowboy Nation, for some of the best years a kid could ask for. Sometimes God has a different plan from one you originally thought. Evers, a sixth-year player, so no opportunity to come back and play again, because remember, he's got that COVID sixth year, with 26 career starts and 53 career appearances, wrote that he had consulted with his family and Oklahoma State's coaches and medical staff. He started 4 of the first 6 games for Oklahoma State and appeared in 5, recording 3 tackles. Evers did not play against Pine Bluff, and he was listed on this as a starter for Saturday's game against number 20 Texas. So this is a pretty substantial loss before a big game against Texas. Junior Javier Ross is listed as Evers' backup, though Tyler Lacey has started 2 games in place of Evers at defensive tackle. The 6'2", 295-pound Evers, and again, I haven't seen him play as much, but again, that's not necessarily elite NFL size. That's NFL size. He does not have an ESPN rating for the NFL draft. He started all 14 games in 2021, recording 21 tackles and 3 sacks. 3 sacks is pretty good from a D tackle spot for an Oklahoma State defense that ranked 5th nationally in yards allowed. So again, he's been injured. He's listed as a starter, and he was going to be playing this Saturday against Texas. However, consulting with family, consulting with this and that, he decided ultimately to pull out and get ready for the NFL draft. You see this a couple times. This will happen with players right before bowl games. They play the whole season, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to take 4 weeks off and then come back and practice the whole time in pads and then go and play and then 6 weeks later have to prep for the NFL draft or something like that or the combine. They ultimately decide to take off that bowl game. Maybe they'll play for a conference championship or something like that. But if it's a good player and it's a minor bowl game, they're like, listen, I'm playing for the rest of my life. I'm not going to play for, the Meineke Car Care Bowl or something like that. No offense to my Meineke Car Care Bowl fans. But I think the thing about NIL, this is a classic scenario where somebody was out there, he's a starter. There's plenty of money in NIL to give out. And you're thinking that like, man, well, maybe we could get into a situation where maybe we could give this guy some money and he could stay. Well, he has received some money. And I don't think NIL, there's as much money as you think throughout the roster. Not necessarily at the top, but throughout the roster to where you can almost supplement the NFL. So I don't think we're going to see a minor league in terms of the NFL in terms of pay, with how much these players are getting paid. All players are always getting a pay cut when I went from this school to the NFL. That might happen maybe at the top in terms of like a top flight player, the top flight position who doesn't have great size or something like that. A classic case would be like Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel probably would have gotten paid more. I mean, he was a first round pick, but that was just Browns being Browns back in the day. There's very few players where you're going to be a top flight player in college, go to the NFL, and you'll be like a 6th round pick, something like that. There might be something like that. It might be like an extreme size situation, maybe like a Deuce Vaughn at Kansas State. If Deuce Vaughn was at a bigger school, maybe something like that might happen. But for the most part, I think that, unless you're a top flight player at a top flight school, the NIL money still isn't nearly as much as the hope of an NFL paycheck. We're going to compare what he's getting paid right now or what he's been paid versus what he could potentially get even just making a roster in the NFL. So here we are with on3.com. It says top Oklahoma State NIL players. You see at the top there, Spencer Sanders, senior quarterback, Kendall Daniels, safety. We have Tori Ortiz, who is a safety? I mean, it looks like it's a girl's picture. I don't know what that position that is. But anyways, you see the fact that like right here, Spencer Daniels getting $237,000. Again, if he was playing at Oklahoma, it might be 500 to $1 million. You see the fact that, Caleb Williams was getting 1.5, or I think it was 2.5 or something like that from USC. So there's definitely a good amount of money here. However, for Brendon Evers was making $26,000. $26,000 just from your name image like this is pretty cool. But I just don't see the fact. You see the fact there's a couple different players here, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, something like that. So 32. So there's some money to be made, but NFL rookie minimum wage is a lot different than this. So NFL rookie minimum wage is $705,000 a year. $705,000 divided by 18 weeks throughout the season when they get paid, about $39,000 a week. So right now he's getting paid $26,000, it looks like, total, versus a potential to get $39,000 a week. Brendon Evers is leaving. He's a starter. He's decided to forego the rest of the season. He was eligible to play this Saturday. He's bailing on the team to get ready for the NFL draft. I do think that this means that at the top, it might be a little bit different here, but I don't think NFL is going to supplant the NFL. NIL is going to supplant the NFL in terms of keeping players away from the pros because they want to stay in college for money. Again, maybe a top flight player who's a college player who doesn't have the pro measurables. That might be the only instance. But NIL is still in its infancy, and I do think that the market is going to correct itself. I just don't think there's enough money out there in NIL. As an example, again, this is a random situation. This is a senior 6-year player who only has a couple games left. I would have assumed, though, if NIL was operating the way that we thought it was going to operate, where it's just going to be, oh, God, they're just going to be a pay for play or something like that. You could pay Brendon Evers for play, and they're not. And, probably because there's still not the incentive to stay versus try for the NFL, even just an attempt. So again, this is a little bit of a stretch here because there's a lot of things here, a lot of assumptions I'm kind of making there, but I do feel like, again, what NIL has turned into versus what the NFL is, I don't think that we have to worry about we're going to lose starters, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that because of NIL. I do think that, again, top flight players, top flight school, top flight brands, they're going to be NIL assets versus everybody else. I don't think it's going to be able to, again, in this instance, it doesn't even negate the hope of getting into the NFL, let alone the actual reality of it. So NIL, you were scary at first. Now that we're kind of seeing what you're made of, you're not as scary now. All right, guys, enjoy a great weekend of football. I will see you guys on Monday. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. See you guys later. I am out.